How's it going, auto dealers, sales personnel, and automotive groups? I'm your host, Jill Nicolini, here again to welcome you back for another great episode of Auto Dealer News, which is your best source for everything happening in the world of automotive groups and dealerships. We'll be bringing in some industry leaders and experts to get you all caught up on speed here on all the latest sales, marketing, and technology that will push your sales to be the best they can be. And you know it wouldn't be Auto Dealer News without our resident auto dealer and sales expert, CEO of Dealer Source Group and Universal Marketing Solutions. There he is, automotive sales trainer and business entrepreneur with over 15 years of producing outstanding results in the automotive retail industry. The automotive sales master himself, Richie Bello. How are you doing today?
How are you, Jill? How's it going today?
Doing all right. Excited to be here and especially excited for what we have in store because you all don't know this yet, but we have an expert panel today for the first time in studio, right, Rich?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm so happy. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday, TGIF, happy Good Friday, happy holidays, Passover, Easter to everyone as well. But let's get right to the show right now, and we want to bring in person this time, John J. Grillo, CEO of Pure Auto Price and Precise Auto Price, helping consumers and dealerships alike save money with his expertise in the automotive field. John, thank you for joining us today. It was great seeing you last week, I guess at home, but now we have you here in person, which is even better.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, now I see that you brought someone else along with you. Is that Paul Sansone Jr. I see next to you?
All the way from New Jersey.
All right. You guys had a good commute this morning? How was it to get to Long Island?
Not so bad. Not so bad.
All right, that's good. Well, Paul, let me just say hello and introduce you. You're an auto dealer with over 30 years who specializes in dealership structure, expense controls, and financial analysis. Paul Sansone Jr. is the owner of Sansone Jr.'s 66 Auto Mall and PMB Group. A lot of you are saying, yeah, I know that guy. And he's teaching his salespeople how to market themselves by using low-cost tools, technology, and social media, reallocating his advertising budget to bring in the best ROI. Now we are very excited to have him join us here in the studio. Paul, thank you for coming.
Jill, a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now y'all may think it's just, the three of you up there, I'm sitting here, but guess what? We have another exciting surprise right now. We're going to bring in one more person to our expert panel, and we have Mario Lee, and he's going to round it all out for us. Mario started as a lot attendant and worked his way into sales after only 3 months. He had been a top salesman every month for the past 4 years, and get this, averages 50 to 60 deals a month with a personal best of 78 cars in 1 month. Not so bad, Mario. All right, here to share his knowledge and perspective for his fellow sales associates, Mario joins us via Skype. Thanks so much. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How you guys doing today over there?
Great. I have to start by bringing this up. Now, Mario, you may not know, but Paul just recently actually visited Massachusetts and came to your used car sales lot.
I met Mario.
So
How you doing, Mario?
You do know
Yes,
each other.
I did
Good.
meet Mario.
How you doing today?
Yes, and I could see Mario. I didn't know he was that good, but you could tell he was good.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have me on the show today, everybody.
All right, Richie, you take it over. Who do you want to start with? Let's get out that first question and, of course, your expert
Mario,
thoughts.
I wanted to speak to you about your sales process. They're doing that kind of volume. I wanted to talk to you. Do you do a lot of repeat business, walk-in traffic? What is it like? What kind of customers do you do?
Mainly focus on repeats and referrals and a lot of walk-in traffic, but mostly it comes down to training and staying on top of the referral process and dedicating time every day to follow up with each and every customer that you're dealing with, regardless, every day, and just staying on top of your training and staying sharp because every day is a new situation, everything's coming about, and it's bad to practice training on the customer when you can practice training with your salespeople every day for a couple of minutes before you start, just to stay sharp. And a lot of people don't follow up. 48% of the people don't follow up with the customer. I follow up all the time, and I always ask them for referrals, and the referrals lead to repeat business, and it just snowball effect, and it just all adds up at the end of the day.
Does your dealership have a referral program in place?
Oh, yes, we do. We have a nice referral program where you refer somebody, we'll definitely send you something out in the mail, and we keep track of everybody, all the leads, and thank everybody for the referrals, and just staying on top of it. We have a great CRM and a nice process in place to keep us intact and staying up to date with the latest technology and the way things are changing every day in the automotive industry.
The reason I'm asking, because I've never heard of one salesman selling so many cars. I've heard of fleet, people selling, but you sell pre-owned automobiles. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's very, very impressive. I've told so many people about you, and I'm so impressed. And the reason I invited Paul, because I've been to Paul's dealership, and Paul has a great program with referrals that I'm impressed with. I've been in the car business a long time, and I sold a lot of cars a long time ago to my referrals, and I had a referral program, and nothing beats this referral program that Paul has, and I learned a lot from Paul. Paul, I want to give you your program.
Like you said, I've been in the business 30 years, and I actually, my father, I remember him telling me, build your business on repeats and referrals from satisfied customers, and how this all evolved was my son, everything my kids did was all on the smartphone, but everything I knew in my DNA was networking and marketing and relationship selling. So along the line, I said, somewhere along the line, you got to connect the smartphone with the process of relationship selling, and that's really how Easy Referral came about. And 6 years into our program, I mean, these numbers are staggering. We have over almost 11,000, I call them referral agents, not bird dogs, 11,000 referral agents that have sent 5,500 leads, and we've delivered 2,200 cars in the last 6 years, and generate $7 million of gross on a $500,000 investment. So it sounds like a pretty good investment to me.
Paul, would you mind explaining to me off camera before you did tell me a story about this amazing woman who came into the dealership and how she's using the Easy Referral network and how much it helped her? And my goodness, she made a lot of money.
Well, the part of it, relationship selling is fun, and I wish more dealers would get into thinking that way. Relationship selling, and relationships all people with people. But one of my salesmen, Mark, was fortunate enough to sell a car to a woman, and obviously his normal asked her to refer her friends and neighbors. Well, this woman sent him in less than 2 months, 33 leads, like 6 weeks, sent him 33 leads, and he delivered over 10 cars in the 2 months. And true story, she's texting him on a Saturday saying, don't take lunch, you have people coming in today. And he actually had this lady had 2 people at different desks, and it was so funny. But he actually brought her in and all of her people that bought cars in and bought them lunch and had a little party for her, but at $2,000, she earned $2,000. So networking is great, but it's nice income too for some people if you want to look at it that way.
That's amazing. And Paul, the other thing when I went to your dealership, you showed me one time that you develop websites for your salespeople too.
Well, in the auto industry, everyone knows what tier 1, 2, and 3 is all about: national, regional, and dealership advertising. And I've created the term tier 4 advertising, and that's what I call the forgotten level. To me, our salespeople have been marginalized in the industry, and I hold great value in my salespeople, and I look at them as an asset, not a liability, and I'm willing to invest in them. And if you think about it, I have 18 salespeople, and I'm going to deliver over 300 cars this month. So my average salesman produces at a much higher level and earns at a much higher level than average, which is, to me, is what it's all about. That's how I'm growing my business, through my salesmen, their relationships, and but the websites, the Easy Referral is all a way to get them connecting directly to an audience. Social media, using their energies to drive their own business versus me pushing business down to them.
So you're using their energy and their social media to bring in
my infrastructure. It's my infrastructure that allows this to happen, which I think what most salespeople would need. My infrastructure, but their motivation, their energy, their creativity. I have guys that brand themselves. I have Mark the Pie Guy. I have Clint the Car Coach. I have
Wait, Clint the Car Coach, isn't he the newbie? And he sold like a serious amount of cars within this first month.
First month, 15 cars. He'll hit 15 this month. And but I have a pretty specific process on how to create that culture at my dealership. I have the NJ Queen of Cars. I also have 7 female salespeople out of my sales group. So it's creating an environment that's fun, encouraging, and motivating. So, but giving them the tools to succeed. This is not rocket scientist. I tell people, just be nice guys that sell cars. Don't worry about being a car salesman.
So Mario, talking about that, it seems like you have a really good process. What do you think about this process? And I see what you do on social media also. I think it's really, really good. And I see a lot of people out there on social media. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, social media is a great way. I mean, I'm contacting customers every angle I could. With Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, email. I'm gonna follow up with you one way or another. And I'm gonna get a hold of you, and that's the way we gotta be. There's so many different outlets and so many different plugs. There's not a favorite one. I use them all. I mean, all my customers have my cell phone number, text, email. I'm always in touch with them every day.
Yeah, I see that you on social media a lot. And the other thing I was going to ask you a question is, what do you think about Paul's referral program as just an opinion-wise? Because this is about learning, and it's about learning from me, you know, and it's all about learning. What do you think about that process?
It sounds like a great process. I mean, he must have been working it for a while. I mean, I would definitely love to use it. You know, it's obviously working for him. I mean, it's a great process.
I think it's a great process too. I think it's really, really good. He's got the program set up with a debit card and all that. It's really organized. It's got a dashboard. I want to talk a little bit about your process when the customer comes into the dealership, right? You have, of course, the meet and greet. Could you explain that whole process to us?
First is the meet and greet, and we sit down. I collect as much information as possible and send them on their test drive and crunch the numbers and prepare a nice worksheet and a plan for them. So when they get back, everything's all laid out on paper. There's nothing to hide. And honesty is the best policy. I mean, they want you to tell the truth, and they like a guy with great energy. You know, it rubs off on the customer. When you have great energy, it rubs off on the customer.
When you put them on the demo ride, do you go on the demo ride with them?
Excuse me?
When you put them on the demo ride, do you demo with them the car?
No, we let them go by themselves. There's no pressure at all. You know, I don't want to go out there and upsell everything. I let them see it for what it is, and we talk when we get back.
So it's more of a soft approach sale.
Correct. It just lightly, you know. A lot of customers, I notice they don't want somebody on the test drive with them because on the test drive they're talking amongst their significant others or their partner with them, and they're going over things. And when they get back, then we're going over all the questions and answers.
Okay. And what's the whole sales process? Is it like negotiations, or how is it? How does it work?
So they have a no hassle policy on the pricing. I mean, so the price you see is the price you pay. We do all the research and marketing to make sure we have the lowest price around. So we know we already have the competition beat, and now we just gotta put the numbers together and see if we can make sense for them. And it alleviates the whole back and forth. They're going back and forth with the price. We give them the best price out the door first.
So you must turn your inventory every 35 or 40 days.
Oh, yeah, correct. We have about like 600 vehicles in inventory, and we turn that about like 350 a month. So it's consistently changing.
Right, so your inventory turns in 60 days, so you're managing your inventory right. So really, when you have a no-hassle price, you got to turn your inventory, and that's what you're doing.
Correct. Right.
I see that, yeah, because I've worked at single-price stores before in different parts of the country, and the most important thing is turning the inventory. So do you guys have inventory managers there?
Yes, we do. The sales manager, they inventory take care of all that. What I noticed is the customers love the no hassle policy because they already know the price when they walk in. They don't have to sit there and play the back and forth game for about an hour or so. We get right to the point, and it expedites the whole process and has the customer in and out. And I'm seeing from what I'm seeing that they love it.
Richie, I got to give this store a testament to their ability because first off, finding the dealership, I think they have more cars than there are people in the area, so it's not like it's on a busy highway, that's for sure. And logistically, I have no idea how they move that many cars because I'm driving up to the lot with my son, and I heard about the volume they're doing up there, so I actually wanted to try to steal a few ideas myself. And I pull in, I'm like, how do these guys sell 400 cars a month? And so it's a logistical, it's a machine. I'll be honest, they do a phenomenal job of pricing, marketing, and obviously the process and having salesmen like this make it work. But if you go there, you'll not, what you have in your head is not what you're going to find. They do a phenomenal job up there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get an idea about the process so I learn, you know? Because it's all about learning. I really enjoy learning the process. And I think it's all has to do with inventory.
My brief time with the general manager, pricing is very important for him. They spend a lot of time on inventory management, reconditioning, getting the cars in and out. I'm not going to talk for the sales process, but as a manager and talking to their dealer or their general manager there, a lot of time on pricing, a lot of time, right car, right price. You know, so people, it was a Monday that I was there, and there were people there all over the place. So they do a phenomenal job marketing and obviously selling.
And talking about price, and I know, John, maybe you can elaborate with what you do as far as saving consumers and dealerships money as well.
Well, what we basically do is, you know, we have Pure Auto Price as well, and that's a consumer-based site where we actually have members, they join, and it's free to join. And what we do is we have a pre-negotiated price with partner dealers, and whoever's closest to their home that's on the program, we're going to actually send the member to that facility and have a seamless handoff from us to the dealership, the partnering dealerships. And again, they're price protected, so it's a simple process. They're going to get the best deal up front. There's no hidden fees or what have you, and they treat our members with respect and dignity, and it's a great process. It's easy, it's seamless. That's what we do on Pure. You know, obviously we have Precise Auto Price, which is a dealer tool, and that's our other business. And that one actually is what we work with dealers, recapturing lost opportunities. For instance, if they have a customer that's been there, a customer for a long time, long period of time, and all of a sudden in 500 days, they haven't been to the facility, something changed. And we're going to regenerate that relationship with that consumer, bring them back and reintroduce them to the dealership and get them back in good standings with the dealer. And, you know, everybody wins.
Well, one of the things as a dealer that I like is that you realize the dealer's got to make a few dollars. All of these third-party buying services are great, but unless it's a win-win for everyone, a win for the consumer, that it's a seamless process and they're getting a very good price, but also the dealer's got to make a few dollars in the process, or else you can't stay in business. And that's one of the things that differentiates what you promote with your business versus what others do.
Thank you. That's very true. We do realize that, you know, profit is not a dirty word as long as it's reasonable for both parties. You know, you have to keep the lights on, pay your staff, and, you know, make sure that the customer is going to get a winning experience, and you deliver it time and time again. I mean, I'm always at your facility. I've been there multiple times, and you are correct. You know, if they're going to lose money, dealers, for a service, a third-party service, it really doesn't make sense because the only one that wins is the service. The consumer doesn't win and you don't win. We all have to win.
Well, I tried to get my people to work for free, but I haven't been able to do it yet. So
you tried to get me, right?
I did. I tried. It doesn't work, so I have to pay them, so I have to make a few dollars somewhere along the line.
Absolutely. There has to be revenue coming in, you know, and it allows you to give that experience to the consumer. Also keep your employees happy. And that's what it's all about. You know, we make a little money on a lot of people. That's the philosophy.
And when we come back, real shortly, we're going to talk to Mr. Grillo about how you can sell 35 cars, 25 cars using his program. Very interested. I know him a very long time, and I've seen it happen. We're going to take a break and be right back.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back to Auto Dealer News. I'm your host, Jill Nicolini, and we are joined here by a panel of experts. For the first time ever, Richie Bello has everybody lined up. We got two in studio. We got John Grill. We got Mario Lee. He's still here with us in Massachusetts, right? I don't see him.
That's right.
I hear you, though. Awesome. And thank you so much. And we also have Paul Sansone. Now, listen, we're talking about, you said selling more than 25 cars. Now, Richie, explain this process to me. I know John has a technique and one of his training courses, and he's going to make you all experts out there and to sell a lot of cars. How you doing this all, John?
Well, we basically, we have a software that drives traffic into the showroom. We kind of look for patterns, people that, again, that, have been to the facility and they left. There's a big opportunity that dealerships miss. 70% of the service customers actually don't buy from the facility. They go where they're comfortable every 3 to 5 years, and because they live in that area, they use the service department because it's convenient. Well, we actually turn that around. We introduce them to the sales side. We send out these very inviting calls, and we actually staff it. It's a month-long program. It's twice a week. We're there 2 hours each time, and every time we're there, we draw between 100 and 300 incoming phone calls, and these are all interested buyers. They have an option to either opt in or opt out, and we have a team that comes in the facility, and we handle those calls for those enormous amount that come in a very short period of time. These people are trained to handle those calls, and we bring those people back to the facility. A lot of times, for one reason or another, a customer that used to come to your facility left you. Maybe they had a bad time in service. Good guys have bad days. Maybe the service writer or the service tech didn't have a good day, and the customer felt that, and they went elsewhere. Well, we actually rejuvenate that relationship. We bring them back to the facility and we hand them off. It's seamless. And it's very, very It's intense. For 1 month straight, we're going to constantly drive customers into the showroom. We like to do it on off times when you don't have business. Like, for instance, everybody's busy on a Saturday, but Monday through Friday, that's the lighter time in the business. And we're going to drive people into the showroom on that time, Monday through Friday, when people wouldn't come to the showroom. They'd probably wait for the weekend. Well, we move their time frame up. We also invite people in that just bought cars. For instance, your customer just purchased a vehicle from you. You can't upgrade them, but they do have family members, they have spouses that need cars, and we invite them in with a participation from the dealership. We might give them an extra $1,000 towards the purchase, and they might be driving a Kia, and the Nissan facility is running the program, and they might want to switch them into a Nissan. Well, this is a way to help facilitate that to happen.
Now, let me ask you a question. In today's market, there's something called big data. That's key.
Right.
So there's a lot of data going into a dealership, right? With their own data and all that. Could you get that data and just go out there and try to get those customers back in the door?
That is the data we're using. Believe it or not, we're using a dealership's data. We actually take that data. We go 5 years back in service, 5 years back in sales, and that's how we develop the patterns to see, for instance, this customer's using the dealership for service, but he's never patronized the sales end. Why is that? We have a great team. And it's not because the people at the facility can't handle it. It's just that the consumer is conditioned to go to every 3 to 5 years to their dealership that they were comfortable buying the car, but they live right in the area. Why not use the facility that you're comfortable using the service department on the sales end as well? We only use the dealership's data. We actually don't go out and get other data.
So here's what my thought was when I put this panel together. With having your product, having a dealer like Paul with his referral program, right? Maximizing these two processes, having a dealer and a salesperson as good, and if not one of the best salesperson I've probably heard and seen, which is Mario, based on the numbers. Now, putting these processes in place, you'll minimize what dealers are spending on Google. Now, everybody knows that I'm with Clickable.
Yes.
Right? Which is an automated PPC platform. And we have analytics that your average dealer is spending $60,000 to $70,000 a month. And what they do is they get it from co-op, but they're still spending $25,000. And then at the end of the year, oh, they're out of budget. Because at the end, they've spent all the money. So come the holidays, they're done.
Right.
Okay? So now the holidays is a disaster for them. So I'm thinking in my head when I started talking to Grillo and with your product, and by the way, your YouTube's on my sites. Everybody can go to all my sites and his YouTube's on there, right? Because I know Paul and we've been working on this for a while. I'm saying with these two processes, you bring the customer in, you're out there reaching out to the customer all the time. Paul is retaining the customer and making them into referrals, right?
Richie,
It's
really
a
what's
win-win situation.
Really what's happening is it all starts with Mario. To be honest with you, my winning strategy is if my if my handshake is better than your handshake, I'm going to win. Regardless of process, regardless of anything else, regardless of what got you to the dealership. Very simply, if the person that you meet at my dealership is better than my competitors, I'm going to win more often than not. That's truly the way I feel. So Mario exemplifies that in spades.
Right.
The reluctance for dealers to do what I do is that it's more of a long-term process. Relationship selling, networking doesn't happen overnight. You know, like I said, I didn't snap my fingers and have 11,000 referral agents. It took 6 years to build it. Most dealerships are looking for a now solution, but it really should be a combination of both. I need now sales too. I don't want to sound so nicely, melancholy that you do. I need now sales also. So that's the combination of what John is presenting. John's is very much of a now sell process. I need now sales, but I also need to build for the future. It's taken me a few years to fully, encapsulate that. But to grow, you need now sales. So it's really a combination of both.
Well, I agree with you, but if you don't have the now sales, you can build that referral business.
Yeah, you can.
So having Mario, having the now sales, it's gonna make you that referral business because you need that traffic. The thing with Mario's business is they already are doing that kind of business already. So they're a perfect store to just build their referral business. And I don't know what they're spending in marketing, but obviously they must be spending a few dollars to drive people there according to if the store is like what you're saying it is. If it's not in a major highway, right?
Well, again, I know a little bit of their strategy. I'm not their dealer, but they are very sharp on their pricing, and I don't mean inexpensive. I mean that to market. They are very sharp to market, which is his marketing strategy to get people to drive by much bigger facilities to get to them. Again, I'm not the dealer there, so just in a brief conversation with him, but so that's their strategy. But it still comes down to a guy like Mario, because not everyone's selling. And not everyone's selling 85 cars a month or 50 cars a month.
No, there's nobody.
So I keep saying you can't train nice, you can't train desire. Obviously, Mario's got both of those, or else he wouldn't be selling that many number of cars.
That's why I'm asking Mario what the process is, because a lot of the people, when I put that Mario was coming on Instagram, I got a lot of messages that they wanted to learn how he's doing, because a lot of guys are selling 14, 15 cars, and I say, listen, learn from Mario, because if you can learn from Mario and sell 30 or 40 cars a month, 30 cars is a good number.
Absolutely.
And Mario's selling 60, 70 cars a month. So Mario's obviously doing something real, real good. Mario's got the skill and the talent.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah.
Maybe it's
He's
his
got
charming
both.
smile. Mario, come on. Flash those blue
Mario,
lights.
come on, smile a little bit.
There you go, you see?
So Mario's got both. So I got a lot of messages about that. And, I'm really interested, Mario, in the whole thing with your process. And maybe I'll go up and visit your store and just see
You're
that.
welcome anytime, man. You're welcome anytime.
So really, Mario, what is it that makes you cut above the rest? I mean, not even a cut above, 5 cuts above the rest. What is it that really you feel separates you?
I think it's just training every day. You gotta train, you gotta be on top, you gotta know your numbers, and just being nice and following up with the customer all the time and answering all their questions. Don't avoid the hard ones. And there's always going to be some tension in some situations, but you got to stick through it.
I think it's commitment.
Yeah, you brought up something before, and I hate when it happens at my dealership where my manager's trying to train the salesman through the process. I'm like, look, I don't want my customers to go through our training process. You know, go out there and you handle it yourself. And you brought that up before, that you do your training not in front of the customer. You do your training. Basically, you're putting the work in so that when you're on the stage and when you're ready to sell, you're ready to go. And I thought that was a great comment, because I do say that all the time.
The process is the bare minimum. I mean, the process should be, that should be the bare minimum. Everybody should know the process. Customers should never even question if you know the process. So that should be the walkthrough. And then, everything else is what puts you above. I mean, sets you above. It looks to me like you're doing it all right. We could probably learn a lot from you. And your commitment must be very, very high, and that's commendable.
Yes, and I'm still learning every day, man. I'm learning every day.
So
We're all learning every day.
We're all learning every day.
Well, hey, Mary, let me ask you a question. With the change of the technology, have you found the customers to be different? How long have you been selling cars?
About 4 years now.
All right, so you're relatively new on the. Has it changed at all since you've been in your 4 years on the floor?
Yes, what it is, I noticed a lot of customers, they're doing a lot of research before they even walk into your dealership. They're spending about 5 to 10 hours researching online, price, and about you, your company, and what you represent before they even step foot in there. So a lot of the times, these customers are coming in with their guards up until they actually sit down, you give them the truth and explain the whole process to them. Then it relaxes them. You break the ice and then you're on smooth grounds.
Another thing he brought up is you don't avoid the hard questions. So when they ask you a question, you're direct and you answer their questions, which is what people want. So again, you're bringing up great points whether you realize it or not.
The customer hasn't changed. The way they're coming to shop has changed. They're more educated, and you got to be more on top of your game and understand that you're dealing with somebody that knows. And if you don't know the answer to a question, go find out the information. Don't just wing it.
We talked about this before the show. I mean, those of us have been around, in 1985 or so. I mean, when you were a consumer and you saw a dealer's ad, you really only had one method of getting information. Because if you called the dealership, basically you were fired if you ever gave a price over the phone. So any of us older guys out there know that that's true. So basically, if you called the dealership, you never got a price over the phone. So you physically had to go to the dealership, and the average consumer was shopping 6 to 8 dealerships, and a dealership had 20 salesmen out front, because that's the method they were communicating. That was the method of connecting with the customer. Today, it's obvious a lot different. That's what I'm trying to do, is get my salesmen equipped to handle today's customer or how they're shopping. They're getting information online. That's why I don't have a big BDC. I have a BDC, but I have my salesmen where the customers are shopping. Fish where the fish are. They're in the electronic world. They're on social media. They're gathering their information. So I have to train and equip my salespeople to communicate with today's buyer. And so customers are only shopping 1.2 to 1.5 dealers. So if you still have that same 20 guys out on the point, they're starving. And that's why we have a 75% sales turnover, because literally the salesmen are starving because there's 5 times less people walking in the door physically. But the ones that are walking in the door, this is what I try to press, the ones that are walking in the door have already done the research and they've already pre-selected you. So every customer that walks into the door, you really should be closing at almost a 50% rate today. Where the action happens is in the virtual world, and that's where I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get my salesmen comfortable being there, being present, and knowing how to handle those customers, knowing how to handle the internet leads, knowing how to handle the phone ups, providing information, and still allowing me to make a few dollars along the way. So,
Paul, when I met you, what I liked about your program was one thing. The most important thing as a general manager or as a dealer, and you go to NADA and they teach you, the academy. And what's the most important thing? Identifying what's an expense and what's an investment, right? Your statement, your financial statement. Yeah. So when I looked at your program that day in the office with Dominic, right off the top of my head, I saw one thing. I saw an investment to a dealership. Right? But I saw managing the financial statement, lowering your expense in the showroom floor, in advertising, and in different
BDC.
And in different departments. BDC is very expensive to run. Internet departments are very expensive to run, right?
Yeah, I don't believe, again, I'm not an advocate of eliminating
No,
them.
but you minimize what it is you have an expense of 20 grand, you minimize that a little
Right.
bit, right? Because what happens is with a referral program, you get referral customers.
Well, there's
So-
three big expenses: personnel, advertising, and floor plan. So I did eliminate a significant portion of that BDC expense. I shared some of it into the sales expense because that's where I want to invest in. I've also eliminated or have not increased my my business is up over 50% in the last few years, but I have not spent a dime more in advertising. So all of those dollars are going to the bottom line. It's self-generated business, it's self-generated leads through my salesmen. That's the strategy that I've taken is I'm still spending money. I'm just not spending more money. I'm investing in my salesmen, which is what you're really talking about. I do pay for training for my salesmen. I think that's short-sighted on many dealers' part is not investing in the training. So even though I have a pretty good sales staff, I still have somebody come in and everybody can use a little dusting up every now and then. So I do look at my sales staff as an asset and as an investment. And unfortunately, I think a lot of dealers don't. And I do care if my salesmen earn a living. I mean, my guys do pretty well, but I do well because they're doing well.
I don't know if you realize it, but your program, what you did, like the clickable technology, right, that's automated.
Mm-hmm.
What you've done, right, is with this program, when I looked at it and I left there, I went right to Manhattan and I explained it to Clickable. What you've done with your program is you've made it automated, right?
I've made it easy.
Right, in a way that it's automated in the car business. Why is it automated? Because you got your sales staff with the referral business and you got people out there working and sending you customers. Humans are creatures of habit.
Absolutely.
So now you have your sales department that's the habit already, right? It's a process where they come. Now the consumers is also developing a habit with that debit card. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that debit card?
Somebody actually clicked in a question. What do I pay as a referral?
Yeah, I was just about to, I've been trying to, to interject here, but there's people asking, and to be exact, let's see, we have Robert Moy. His question for you was, do you have a selling platform using tablets for consultants to be efficient and to provide better purchasing experience for customers? And also, what is a reasonable referral payout?
Well, at my dealership, I started at $100. I went to $150. I had an increase in the number of referrals. I went to $200. I had an increase in the number of referrals. Went to $250. Had no increase. So to me, then I backed it down to $200. The defining line for me, if you're a good salesman, you're going to get people that will refer people to you. I call them passive referrals because they liked you, you were a nice person. You may not even have to pay that person. You probably don't even have to pay that person any money to do so. First off, with my program, you could actually donate the money to charity, or you can get it paid on a debit card. But that aside, what I look for the not the passive referrals are great, but I'm looking for the ones that want to earn a few dollars as a side job, just like this woman's doing. I mean, everyone can use a few extra bucks in their pocket, and I have several referral agents that earned over $7,000, $8,000 last year. Those are people that are making a car payment, maybe helping pay the rent, putting food on the table. So those are people that are active referrals that are not only friends of the dealership, but also doing it as a way to make their lives a little bit easier. So those are the ones that you have to hunt a little bit for. And the tablets, I don't provide. I am trying new software to speed up the process. I'm not there with full tablets yet, but probably soon.
Yeah, Robert wants all the information.
Okay.
Also, we have a Ralph Pagliar who's watching, and he's just chiming in to let us know his thoughts that situational selling, he says, is the best process for today since you adapt to each customer. Do you agree with that?
Situational selling, obviously I mean, you'd have to adapt to what the customer wants. You know, like I said, I think buyers are relational buyers or transactional buyers. I think because of our high sales turnover, we turn relationship buyers into transactional buyers. Because I may have liked Jill, but when I go back to buy a car from Jill and Jill's not there anymore, now all of a sudden I'm back to being a transactional buyer. So for me, every dealer wants relational leads, relationship selling. Unfortunately, you have to make an effort to get there, and the effort's in the people.
Great. And right now, actually, we're down to our last few seconds of the show. So before I wrap everyone, Richie, just want to get your final thoughts. Any other questions you want to ask some of our guests here on the panel?
That I'm really glad that people joined us today, especially Paul, Grillo, and Mario. It's a pleasure, Mario. I wish you join us again real soon. I want to meet you in person. Unbelievable how many cars you sell. I'm so impressed.
Great job, Mario.
Good job, Mario.
Yeah. Great job.
Great to meet you.
Thank you for having me again. It was a pleasure meeting all you guys. And
Good to
hopefully we
meet
can
you.
meet up in person.
And anytime you want to come in, just let me know.
I sure will, man.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Take care, Mario.
Well,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
y'all.
everyone. And Paul, since you said you have over, 7 saleswomen on the force over there, I may have to come on by and maybe I'll start selling cars for a living.
All
Not a bad
right,
idea.
come on in.
All right, TV, you sell, you
The New
sell.
Jersey Queen of Cars may have a problem with adding Jill to the
I'll
floor,
be
but
the
I don't know.
princess then, if
All
that's
right,
okay. I can accept a
okay.
lower title, but all right.
All right.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have here for this special expert panel edition of Auto Dealer News. But a big thanks once again to all of our guests, John, Paul, Mario, and of course, thank you so much, Richie, for bringing us all together. Stay tuned because we'll see you back right here next time on Richie Bello TV for Auto Dealer News. I'm your host, Jill Nicolini. Thank you for watching. Happy Good Friday, happy Passover, happy Easter. Whatever you celebrate, have a great weekend with your family. Bye-bye.